This is Wild on 7th, your favorite Wild podcast. Did you guys see this? This is unbelievable. What is that all about, Kinger?
Get in here for the real thing. Like, let's get weird.
Maybe I blacked out trying to figure out what was going on.
Doubt, worry, fear, because that's what we're breaking the mold on here.
Welcome to Wild on 7th, presented by Pilot Games. We're here until it's here.
Welcome back to Wild on 7th, your favorite Wild podcast, presented by Pilot Games as always. Make sure you use their products, E-Tabs, their games when you're enjoying your libations, because when you do, your community wins. Speaking of community, we've got somebody joining us from the Wild broadcast community. It's one Radio Joe O'Donnell. Thanks for coming and sitting down with us today. We've got a few things to catch up on. It's the Wild are all of a sudden back to relevancy. We had some bold predictions early in the year, and we're going to track this. The podcast has had a way of kind of doing these bold predictions and then not following up on them. Not this year. But a lot of that's because of you too, Radio. You're always on the bird like, hey, Carts, where do we have these bold predictions?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on again, and we are going to revisit those bold predictions.
How are you feeling about it? Did you sift through them?
Oh, yeah.
You like it?
Feeling pretty good. Trust me, there's been a couple times this year I've been like, I'm pretty close to my bold predictions from the preseason. Are you a Chappelle Show fan, you guys?
Yep.
I watched the latest.
Because I believe you pronounce community wrong.
How is that?
It's community. But I digress.
That's more of a jingle, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Well, let's get what do you want to start with? Let's start with just a summary of the Wild game lately from a play-by-play guy's perspective.
Yeah. I've liked it. I think, I don't have it in front of me because, why would I? But back-to-back games with less than 3 goals against. I think that's happened 3 times now since the All-Star break. And the reason I mention that is just it hasn't happened a lot this year. I think over the last 35, 40 games, it's only happened, 8 or 9 times where the Wild have held their opponent under 3. And that's kind of your magic number, right? Like, you start giving up 3, 4, 5 goals in a game. Now you're outscoring teams, trying to outscore teams by having to bury 4 or 5 in a game, and it becomes taxing, I feel like. So I like the brand of hockey they're playing. It's got a little Nashville vibe from last year. Remember John Hines?
Down the stretch, yeah.
Took that basically AHL roster and kept them all the way in it till the last couple of days. So I think he has the team bought into this is how we have to play. There's not too many powerhouses down the stretch for Minnesota. We looked at that from the All-Star break on. A lot of Anaheim, a lot of San Jose, a couple with Chicago. Ottawa comes here at some point in April. So there are some games that are on paper, like you got to have them. So they put themselves in a spot now with, I don't know, a dozen games or so, whatever's left, to really give themselves a chance to get into the playoff conversation as we hit the final few games of the regular season. That's all you can ask for, really. So from a broadcast standpoint, I'm glad that this team hasn't quit, that they've bought in, that they're playing the right way, and guys are starting to step up, and they're making it interesting down the stretch.
Yeah, and we should note that we're recording this Friday after the Anaheim game, so that's the back-to-back games with giving up 3 or less.
Yeah.
And the reason we're recording is because the squad and everybody else is on their way to St. Louis and then eventually on to OC. So we'll have to get Joe's thoughts on Orange County. But what about Kinger? What have you liked or you've seen? Like anything different to you? I mean, Marc-Andre Fleury to me has been a little different. We've got the koozie we're going to have to talk about, but. And are you going to take credit because you've been sitting in that podcast chair saying that when you traded for Kaprizov on your fantasy team, that's really when things changed?
It's been a big part of his
Thank you for doing that, John.
Do you remember? Can you track what date
by the way,
was?
straight up for Sidney Crosby.
Really?
And at that time, it was provocative. But let's start with 97, okay? I went to the game last night, and this guy, so I don't know if I think he's strong like an ox. And I believe that at the start of the season, everybody's engines are going. And I think the rest of the league falls off and he gets stronger. I don't know if he's staying at the same level and everybody falls off or if he's rising as well. But I think it's to the point now where we need to meme Kirill like Chuck Norris, right? Like this is getting to the point like Taylor Swift is re-recording all of her songs as the Kirill versions, right? The 100 emoji is going to become 97 because it means more than 100. Like somebody should be writing hundreds of things. This is special. I saw a guy in the concourse with just it said like the chosen one, and his hands were up. It was a Kirill, maybe meets the Messiah shirt, but he is spectacular.
When,
I mean,
100% agree.
The best guy in the NHL is on our team right now.
So a couple of years ago in the playoffs against the Blues, I think it was Game 5. The series was 2-2, and I feel like Kaprizov had 2 goals in that game, and that was maybe the first time I remember watching him going, he literally is not going to let this team lose. Now, unfortunately, they lost the game and lost the series. But, like, the way he played in that first period, that dominance, you're not getting me off this darn puck. Like, I'm going to will this team to a win, to the playoffs, to whatever. That was really the first time I feel like I saw, like, whoa, like, absolute game changer. If he wants it more than you, you're just out of luck. And I feel like we're seeing that the last couple of weeks. 8 goals his last 6 games at the time of this recording. He's as hot as anybody in the league, and I feel like when he has that engine going, like this is my world, everybody else in the league should be on notice. He is one of those elite players when he's playing like this.
So we should talk about this because he was 23 when he came over from the KHL, and he was great in those moments early. But I think he did have to learn from him. So go back to that game. It's like physical battles, like grinding, like even the Vegas series, like he was winning the yellow dashers, like he was always up against the wall, and he was still able to produce offense, but that's like the hard way. That's the forecheckers way. That's like your fourth line grinders way. He just is really skilled at it, willing to do it. But I left those series thinking, like, is that sustainable? Can a guy be a star doing that for 4 rounds? Like, is it possible? And we love the work ethic. We love the grind in his game, but there needed to be some polish to it where you pick your spots a little bit more. And I think that it's taken a little bit of time, but I think we're seeing the fruit from that right now. Is all of a sudden he knows when to get in there, grind on the forecheck, but that's not the whole game for him. Like he's not inside. He's not battling the biggest guy on the ice. He's not getting face washed. He's cutting in and out of open ice. He's a smarter player. He's able to find offense. He's making everybody he's playing with better. When did Boldy get good? Or I shouldn't say good. He's always been good.
When did he get hot?
Yeah. When did he get hot? Playing with Kirill. And now Boldy looks like an entirely different player. And it's he's checking a lot of the superstar boxes where you can produce in any situation. You can take a game over if you want. You make everybody you play with better. And like you evolve and you learn different ways to produce offense. He's not a one-trick pony. He's a Swiss Army knife offensively. And like, let's go to the Anaheim game. Like he scores a goal driving the back post, right? And it doesn't matter who you put with him. That one was Ryan Hartman. He's reading Hartman. Hartman makes a nice play, brings it to the forehand, holds it, and then a nice little pass. Like he's doing a lot of things different, but there's been an evolution to his offense.
Yeah, I agree, and it's fun to see. It's exciting for the Wild fan base. I had Matt Boldy on the radio postgame show a couple nights back, so either Arizona game or Nashville game, and he said that when you're playing with Kaprizov, you just like there's this nonverbal communication. And Karch, you can speak to this, having played the game. Like
he doesn't speak English.
What? that's maybe what Boldy was saying.
That's why he's not on the pod.
He's like he just.
Yeah, actually,
he just gives you a look.
He was supposed to be on the pod today, but he doesn't speak English.
That's why I'm here. But Boldy's like, when Kaprizov just gives you the look, like the puck's coming, like give him the puck, like whatever
if
that.
You see him see you,
yeah,
you know it could be coming.
Something's happening. So it's like they're looking at each other, like, yep. And then Boldy knows to put his stick on the eye. I think it was Kaprizov set him up for it's just that kind of that Zuccarello, Kaprizov, like that that non-verbal, like, be ready.
The Sedins were different because they didn't have to talk. That was non-verbal, non-sight.
Because they were one person.
Yes, exactly. They shared a brain.
Yeah.
Now, I think Kaprizov does take a look, but if he sees you, and sometimes I think he's smart enough to where he doesn't have to see you. He just knows hockey so well. Like he knows your route, where you are, your timing. Like
crazy.
He takes a mental picture, and then he's able to compute all of that information into where's going to be an open spot to leave this puck. But yeah, there's an element to, if he sees you, be ready, because it can get to you.
And you can throw a puck anywhere. I was watching last night, the amount of pucks that go right into his feet as hard as you could throw them, and he either like kicks them to his stick or I have no idea. Like, I mean, you could take slap shots at his legs and he's somehow just landing it down. And
now the question down the stretch is going to be, do the Wild need him to be this good for the next 14 games?
Yes, they do. And I think they're going to get it. I really do.
And then that's where it's almost like, all right, like, wrap this guy in bubble wrap and
people
tell
are
him,
going to go after
tell
him.
You've evolved. We'll see down the stretch. Like, the Wild have a different schedule. Like Anaheim, there was nobody going after, nobody like charging Marc-Andre Fleury or Kaprizov or Boldy. They were just kind of going through the motions, and I mean that with like NHL respect. It's just, there wasn't like the hate where we need these points. We're going to hit you where it hurts the most. And the Wild have a lot of those opponents. I mean, they go back out to Anaheim. They've got San Jose a couple times at the end of the year. Who knows where Seattle will be? But they've got some, and I even think Ottawa, throw them in the mix.
Yep. LA twice. They're not physical, right?
No.
I mean,
but they'll at least have. They'll have some hate. Like, they'll have to be like, okay, well, I'm going to flip the mask of Fleury, or I'm going to do something to try to prove that we have to win this.
Last game of the year is against Seattle. They could be mathematically out of it by then.
Yeah. But so I do think that the Wild need him to be like great like that, and it is possible, because I don't think there's going to be teams targeting him. Like let's say Winnipeg seems to always do when the Wild play Winnipeg. But then that's where the evolution of his offense comes in. Like, I think he's good, and when he's in the zone, you can just change it. Like, I don't need to be battling Dylan. I'll do it a different way. I'll do it off the rush. I'll do it on the power play. Hey, somebody go draw one. I'll crush you here. I'll do this. I'll do that. Like, every punch you throw, he's got a counter.
Who's going to be the Robin, though, if he's Batman?
It doesn't matter. It's whoever he plays with.
It's a great point, I
because
guess.
like, all of a sudden, Ryan Hartman gets thrown up there, and he looked great.
Right.
Like, Boldy gets put on his wing. He looks great. Eric Sinek, Mr. Irreplaceable, he's out. Like, he's great with them. Out. Like, he was replaced. You know, and that was an Anaheim team. We'll see. St. Louis is still, they're not Anaheim, but they're not Vancouver. You know, so we'll see in the weekend game how things go. But Kinger, when did you make this fantasy trade? Because we might have to give you some voodoo type credit.
I'm going to look this up while we're talking.
So
since you guys are closer to the team, and how excited is Kirill about this new Russian guy who I can't say his name? This is another reason you're here. I want to know. Like, is his name Marat?
Marat Khusnutdinov.
Khusnutdinov?
Yeah.
Hus.
What can we call him that's easier?
Khusnutdinov.
Do you know what? Is there a
Husty?
Rat?
Husty is what they're calling him?
Yeah.
Rat.
Husty.
Rat.
Could go Rat.
Well, this guy,
Rat's a character on the podcast, so we're going to have to change his nickname.
Husty looks like a party on wheels, man. This guy, like, my wife was kind of like,
fun.
"What's up with the? Ooh, what's that?" I mean, I think he's gonna get some people excited.
Yeah. Well, did you
Kirill
hear?
has to
He
be
stepped
thrilled.
onto the ice, and
Yeah.
the savvy hockey fans, they cheer. He wins a face-off. They cheer.
He's a hard worker.
He won 6 of 9 draws in his debut.
200-foot game.
4 block shots. I mean, I thought he looked really good. I don't know if you want to transition there now, but I was impressed.
We will.
Looking up the fans.
We will. So Kirill's season, and this was before actually, I'll just do the math. But in the first 28 games through like mid-December, almost Christmas break, he had 28 games and he had 8 goals. Since December 18th, he's got now 32 games and 26 goals. So it's like all of a sudden the flip switched in terms of goal scoring. And you could go plus minus. That first stretch, -5. Second stretch, plus 16. You keep going. The difference is the shot attempts are almost the exact same. So not much has changed in terms of what he's been doing. Maybe the danger of the areas that he's shooting in has changed quite a bit. Shot percentage has gone from 9% to 21. So they are going in. But you average that out, I think that's a little better for him. Most stars are in the 12 to 16% shooting range.
Yeah.
So he's a little above the mean right now. and that is confidence. That's a hot streak that will regress, but over a large sample size. But 14 games maybe isn't a large sample size, and maybe they can continue to get it.
Yeah, even if he goes back to 13, 14% the last dozen games or whatever, like I think he's still. I mean, at this rate, he's on pace for 45 goals, right? I mean, he's at 34 now and scoring almost every night. Like, he's going to hit 40, knock on wood, and he might push the envelope and get the 45. And if he does that and gets any kind of supporting cast help, his team's going to be right there, man. It's exciting.
There's a confident little smirk coming from across the table.
There is.
What was the
Well, if you were to look at the AOATT, All Out All the Time Fantasy Hockey League transaction report, Tarps Off, my team, and A-Bomb, don't know what that means, announced a 2-player trade 2 months ago. Kirill Kaprizov, left wing, Minnesota.
So that's January, mid-January.
A-Bomb acquires.
You caught him on the way up.
Caught him on the way up.
You bought
like Bitcoin.
Apple. You bought
Bitcoin.
Apple after the iPod.
Yeah. Because he turned.
the one with the rotating spinning wheel?
Yeah, that's when you bought into Apple.
Let me think. January 15th. You're saying it popped. When was the All-Star
December.
game? When was the All-Star game?
Like the 30th? It's usually end of.
Right in there. I don't know. I think I'm involved. I had a role.
You bought Apple at a good time. You bought low. Now you could sell high.
Okay,
One time I accidentally
take it.
stole Kaprizov's eggs in Dallas, and he went on an absolute heater afterwards.
Really?
Yeah, it was a couple of years back on the
put
road.
ketchup
How did
on
you
it?
know was he running around like, where are my eggs?
Came up to me,
And he's like,
asked
hey.
me if those were his eggs. I haven't told a lot of people this. I told like close personal friends and family. I was so rattled.
Did you lie? Did you
No,
just
I
go, no?
well, so I ordered
how did he
eggs.
Say it. Tell me how he said it.
Yeah, do his voice.
So I ordered eggs, and I go to get them a couple minutes later, and they're not what I ordered. Like I think I got scrambled, and it was like I think he goes like over medium or something, right?
This is good.
And the guy hands them to me, and I just take them. I'm like, whatever, I don't care. It's eggs. Like we got to get on the bus soon.
Eggs are eggs.
So I sit down. I think I went back to get ketchup. No lie.
Gross.
And I go to sit back down, and like literally came up to me and was just like, "Are those your eggs?" I forget how he.
How did
said
his
it.
voice sound when he did it?
And I was like, I literally was like, "Oh, sorry, Bubba," because I realized, like, yeah, they weren't mine, and I just took them because I didn't want to complain. Like, whatever, we had to get going. So then I'm like,
you bubbled?
panicking. Yeah, I bubbled them.
Oh, wow.
I'm panicking because I'm like, the bus is in like, I don't know, 11 minutes. And now this guy, I wanted to go up to the omelet dude and be like, listen, you got to make these eggs for this guy the fastest, but still appropriately good that you've ever done in your life. Because like,
It can't be
Kaprizov
runny. If he gets
misses
salmonella because I ate his omelet.
or if he misses the bus or he's late because like I stole his eggs. I was so rattled for that like 6-minute span. And then he went on an absolute heater.
Were you eating them when he came up?
I mean, I was.
If I want to know, like, it was the fork, like you're chomping on him. and
Yeah,
he's
like,
"Are
it
those
was-
my eggs, and you Bubba him.
Did you
Yeah,
really say
Bubba's-
Bubba?
I gave him like a.
Bubba's like a. That's like a. You say that to like a kid.
I gave him like, oh, sorry, Bubba.
Oh, is this sorry?
Yeah, like I apologize. Like, oh,
It
like
was like
sorry.
a flex.
No, not at all. I was like terrified,
Sorry, Bubba's back.
and we really have not. I mean, we
Speaking
had
of,
not
you pass
interacted.
me your
much.
orange juice.
Is that salt? Could you send it this way?
so
But he
that
went on an
worked,
absolute
though.
heater. So he has had bumps in his career based on things that make completely no sense.
Yeah, so we're largely. The other thing people forget about Kirill, 2 things. He's 26, right? About to be 27. So this is a man. He kind of looks like he's like our baby boy, but he's a man, and he's wearing the A. I still remember when he gets the A, and they're all talking, and he just goes in and he goes, "I think we know why we're here." And that was all he said. Basically, we're here to win. I mean,
Yeah.
dude's a winner. I think as long as you're winning, he's happy. He's getting points, but I don't really think he cares about all that. As long as we're winning, I think he's smiling.
The only reason I think he cares about it is when you're a guy that's supposed to provide offense, you need to do that to feel valuable. So I think he wants to produce offense just to prove his worth, even though I don't think that he needs to. The team needs him to, but
Yeah, you're right. He's happy now because he is being Kirill.
he's doing what he's supposed to do.
He was not. He's been a slow starter. I guess I don't know why that is, but he just he's going now.
A couple of years back, Dean Evison told us I think you remember this, Carts, in one of our little broadcast huddle-ups that, like, Kaprizov had gone into his office, and Dean thought for sure that he was going to complain about ice time, who he's playing with. And Kaprizov is literally like, I want to win. Like, what else can I do so we win more? And I think Dean was sort of mind-blown because usually the superstar, it's like, me, me, me. And he was like, why aren't we winning more? How can I help us win more? And I won't ever forget that, because to me that was like just a complete microcosm of what this guy really is and what he wants to be.
You think Dean said, "Can you kill a penalty?"
I think Dean said, "Hey, Bubba, what do you think of face-offs?"
So let's talk about. Say it again. Khusnutdinov.
Khusnutdinov.
He needs a nickname.
We're going to need to
full disclosure. That will probably change over the course of his career. I'm going to say
going with Khusnutdinov.
An over/under of 2.5 times, because that's what happens with European players. Like, remember, it was Marco Rossi for a minute.
Yeah.
Now it's back to Rossi. So,
and it was Johansson. Then it was Johansson.
Now it's Johansson. So at some point,
and he has changed it.
Yeah. 100%. At some point, Marat will come to us and say it's Marat and it's Khusnutdinov, and we'll just make the adjustment on the fly, and everybody will be like, what's going on? But that's what we deal with in the broadcast world.
The Swedes kind of seem like vanilla, you know what I mean? But what if they have like these secret, sneaky, like senses of humor, and they just mess with us all the time? Like, hey, let's get it. Let's
Joel Eriksson.
What do you like? Joel? Joel?
Yeah.
I don't care.
I did it again.
It's just a machine.
I said Jewel. They never believed
Eunice.
Jewel. They never believed
Jonas.
Jewel. I said it. They sang it. What does Heinz ever? This is how Rube looks at the game sometimes. He, like, if I were coaching, for sure I'm putting the two Russians together, even though it makes absolutely no sense. I'm just like, hey, let's just try this.
If Eka's out, that's not that.
I don't know what it is. I'm like, they're just
they-
gonna have so much fun.
I think they thought about it, but
It just
I think
feels.
they realized
It's also
first
not fair.
game-
It's not fair to the player.
Yeah.
You also have to remember when it's him that you're developing a player, and it's not fair. We saw with Rossi. Think about his first stint in the NHL. You put him in a scoring line situation where he has to produce and tough matchups, and then all of a sudden it's like they get smacked in the face so hard where it feels like they feel, I'm not an NHL player, right? It's so hard for them. So you have to protect the player a little bit, I think, and I don't know if that's factored into the equation, but you can wreck a guy faster than you can make a guy. So you have to be careful not to.
Because he's only 21. I don't understand how he got out of the KHL so much faster than some of the others do.
he just didn't keep signing new extensions.
Okay.
I mean, his contract expired, and he said he wanted to come over. I'm sure the KHL club in Sochi would have kept him, or loved to have kept him. But if I'm understanding it correctly, when the contract expired, rather than re-sign like Kaprizov did, gosh, it felt like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
And Wild fans kept going, oh, we got to wait another year, another 2 years. But probably a little pressure from Russia and that league and all that goes into that chaos. But, you know, ultimately Khusnutdinov said, I want to come and play in the NHL.
And let's just talk about this for a quick second. When it comes to Kirill was like a blue chipper. Mm-hmm. He was going to come over and be a stud in the NHL. I think everybody thought that, knew that. So he was probably getting bigger dollars in the KHL. So let's call it $2 million, and he has to come to the States and play in the NHL and sign his entry-level contract. And that's less than that amount.
Yeah,
so he could make more money in the KHL. Khusnutdinov, I don't think is as highly coveted of a prospect. So he wasn't getting like probably the top end dollars. So there is a gap in pay, and I think the KHL uses that to their advantage from time to time. Where if a guy comes over and he's young, he's gonna make, and if it's on a 2-way deal, he's gonna make $90,000 in the minors and $900,000 up top, but he doesn't know where he's going to be. So cut it in the middle. Let's say he plays half the season, he'll make $400,000. All right, we'll offer him $500 to stay home, and he knows he's getting it. So it's harder for that tier. Now Kirill knew right away he's making $900,000. He'll win the Calder. He'll hit all of his other stuff, and That's a different story. So he could stay over because he got more money and it was this and that. And the new guy, it's a little easier for him to come over because if you can promise him NHL, he gets he's getting $900,000 and a nice signing bonus, and he's got Kirill, and it's an entirely different situation.
Do you guys notice that our skating has changed, right? With Chisholm, Faber, Brodin, 22 last night, Kirill, Boldy's kind of like doing these extended plays that seem like he's half falling for 10 seconds. I just feel like, are we faster now and a better skating team? You see all the NHL teams. So when I'm watching it eye test, Chisholm's a big factor too in Faber. Like we have some really nice skating guys on the back end. Are we in the middle of the pack with what you see, or do you notice a difference? Because I feel like we're skating different.
I feel like early in the season they were slow.
Yes.
Played slow. I remember Columbus came in, I don't know, third game of the year, and the Blue Jackets looked like they were the Russian Red Army team. I mean, they were skating circles around the Wild,
I think they are
shots.
actually the Red Army team.
And it was like, what's going on? And then post-coaching change, for whatever reason, it seemed like the light bulb went on for a lot of these guys, like, hey, we better get our act together. And everybody just stepped their game up a little bit. I think the acquisition of Bogosian, better skater than I think a lot of people give him credit for. You mentioned Declan Chisholm. And then I think the confidence factor.
It's confidence.
Right? Guys are playing better. They're playing their roles. They're having fun. They're winning games. You start to feel a little bit better about your game. Hey, I can go make this play. And I think, John Hines talked about even Ryan Hartman playing faster. I remember Dean would talk about Matt Boldy. When his game went haywire, he wasn't skating. He was watching. He was east-west. You start playing fast. You start playing north. Everybody looks quicker.
And it's not the play with the puck that they're skating well with. It's the play without the puck. If you ask me, watching the Anaheim game, Anaheim couldn't get out of their zone because the Wild were skating without the puck to get on top of their breakout option, to get on top of their D on the forecheck, to hunt pucks. And nobody's immune from it. One of the highlights of Double Deuce was first man on the forecheck turned a puck over. And Kaprizov's doing the same. It doesn't matter. Guys are kind of taking their turn, and they're hungry like dogs on bones. But it's the work without the puck on the forecheck, over breakout options, and then on the back check. So whenever Anaheim was trying to come out of their zone, like how many times in the second period were they trying to get the red, dump it in, and change, and they just couldn't because there was somebody over top of them. They finally get a puck out to their wing with a little space, and that wing didn't want the puck because they're feeling pressure. The gap is tight because you have skating D, so Chisholm is right there, Faber is right there, Broads is right there, Middleton's right there. And you can go down the list. I mean, whether it's a Mermis or even Merrill, they're right in that winger's face, and then the pressure from the forward over the top of them is changing too. So they're turning pucks over, they're tilting the ice, and then they know out. So as soon as they turn it over, I saw like a half a dozen times second period last game where they turn a puck over and they just throw it to an area. They don't even know if there's a guy there. They can just count on there being a guy there. And you put all that together, it's looking like a lot faster brand of hockey.
Is that predictability that John Hines talked about?
And that's how you play fast.
One?
Like I don't have to know where he is. I don't have to look.
Just going to put it there, and we're going to win the foot race.
He's supposed to be there, and then you trust your teammates, and that's where it is. 100%. That's a big factor to it right now. So that's the coaching element to it. But Khusnutdinov
I can't. I'm never saying it. Only Marat.
Khusnutdinov?
Yeah.
Marat.
You've said it several times because you're really good at saying it now. So you just like.
I'm flexing.
Yes. Like he'll just
last night I must have said it to myself before I went on air, at least like Ron Burgundy style.
Will you say it one more time? I like when you say it.
Marat Khusnutdinov.
Oh my God.
Hey,
that's so good.
Couple things with it. So he gets
he
gets his solo rookie lap.
Yeah. Which is kind of cool. You heard he didn't want to take warm-ups the other day, right? Because he wanted the solo lap to be when he played. So they gave him the option to warm up so you feel more comfortable for when he made his debut. And he's like, no, I'm going to warm up and then play because I want that. He wanted that kind of NHL treatment. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. I also love that he went no bucket.
I saw that. I noticed that.
No bucket, dry loaf.
He gave his
behind the ears.
He gave his bucket to Marty, the bench security guy.
And the best part was DaCosta, who's like never on the bench for warm-ups.
What was he doing out there?
He was out there just right in the camera's view, hair looking sharp, ready to capture this moment. So that was great. But he jumps on the ice, dry loaf. The Wild posted a video of it too from an angle. I wonder if he whiffed on his first shot. You got to go back and watch. Didn't seem to affect
Better
his
than
game.
Duhaime.
Duhaime went down, right?
Yard
Stepped on a
sale.
puck.
Stepped on the puck.
So good. But he reminds me of like Cindy Crawford mixed with something because he's got like he played in Sochi. He's got a nice tan going right now.
Yeah.
Good loaf. Yeah.
He's a party on wheels, man. Is he fun? Like, what do we know?
Seems
about?
fun, yeah.
His name's Marat.
I
Yeah.
creeped in his Instagram. I found
His name's Khusnutdinov, and he wants to call it Khusnutdinov just to give us a hard
I
time.
tried to
Guy's a
say,
riot.
I said hello to him the other day when he got off the ice for morning skate because I wanted to say his name in front of him and make sure he just shook his head yes. I think I could have been like Jim Smith, and he would have been like,
Yeah. Meanwhile, Kirill's in the
he's
back
like,
of
get
the
out of my
bus
face,
saying,
buddy. I got a game to play tonight.
that dude's the egg thief. Stay away from him in the morning. Guard the breakfast table. Oh, my
Did you have a solo lap carts?
No, that
wasn't a thing, right?
No, I think it was kind of a thing, but it wasn't every single rookie every single time gets a solo lap. I kind of like it
Yeah, it's cool.
now.
It's a hockey thing.
Yeah, it's cool now. It wasn't a thing back in the day. But does he look like a mini Kirill to you guys on the ice? Here's why. They both have a similar skating style. Like it's bow-legged. It's they get around very.
Is it wide base?
Yeah. Now he looks a lot smaller to me than Kirill does right now. I don't know what the weight is, but he looks a little smaller. But he looks like a very similar player in terms of skating style, puck handling style. He made a couple plays with the puck and passing, and it just looks like he looked like a dude that wasn't caught up in a moment in the first NHL game, like a guy that's been playing against men in another league that was ready to just make this step, unfazed by it whatsoever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all that stuff seems great.
I hate to overreact to one game, but I left there being like, okay, this kid can play in the NHL.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there'll be bumps in the road. It could come as early as the next game. Right? He might look out of place. He might, after 5 games, the adrenaline wears off and some warts show up in his game. But, like, for the most part, I left there being like, awesome. Like, this guy will play the rest of the year, and he will absolutely
Help.
help and be an impact moving forward, which is great. I mean, that's what you want from your high-end draft picks.
Yeah.
When you say this kid and this guy, can you remind our listeners who you're referring to?
Marat Khusnutdinov.
Now,
I think we have an episode title. Khusnutdinov.
how are you going to spell that, Matt Hoosey?
So we got a moose and a hoose. That's good. That's got to be something.
The Hoos is loose.
The hoose is loose. I think he is
He's
loose.
playing with the Moose. You got Hoosed and Moose.
I think Hoos is like James Franco would play him in a movie. He's like Spring Breakers, right? This guy, like he's going to have cornrows at some point, or I don't know what's happening.
Could you imagine next year's All-Star break when he's down in like Cancun with the fellas?
Yes, he'll be good.
He will be. He will be a National Hockey League social media sensation. There'll be like a video of him. You're right, cornrows,
Jet
super
ski,
tan,
jet ski
jet
involved.
ski,
Yeah, he's
a
going to.
bottle of something.
John, let's say he's at the breakfast table and somebody steals his eggs and he gets like a backup order of scrambles or something. And he says the only way he can take them down is with ketchup, but they have no ketchup. What would you offer him in a replacement? Maybe a healthy option.
This sounds
maybe toss the eggs out, just stick with the vegetables.
Well, I would probably just be like, Marat, you should have some coleslaw. And he would be like, but that seems a little bit out
Change
of
the name of cold slaw too.
We are calling it cold slaw because it's been ice out so early. People are paddleboarding on White Bear Lake. No one knows what's happening. So you don't have to wait till Easter to start doing your coleslaw. You don't have to wait till Memorial Day. Go check out Jimmy's Original, Jimmy's Pineapple, homegrown company, family run, down in Stewartville, Minnesota, 3rd generation. Check out the coleslaw. I don't know. It's one of those two things. Jimmy's, don't you be messing with my dressing. I really struggled right there. I'm sorry, Jimmy's. I'm wearing your sweatshirt.
Yeah.
I'm wearing your sweatshirt. You can see the sweatshirt, maybe. I don't know.
Boy.
Coleslaw. And
Now the Wild are building something.
they are.
with Double Deuce, with Kirill, and maybe Khusnutdinov might be on the market for a new home, and it maybe needs an upgrade or two. If it does, he should call our friends at Wild Construction. because they'll take care of them. And you don't really know either. Let's say you are buying a new house and you want to check on things. You might be able to get yourself a new roof too, because it can take up to 12 months for damage to show up. Did you know that?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, so you spend the winter, snow, everything else, get up on the roof, boom, there it is. The damage is showing up.
Yeah, there's like hail splatter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, winter's over. It's officially over. So the roofers can likely get up on there, check it out. But let's say he wanted new windows, new siding on a new place. Wild Construction can help him out with that. So let's use this hammer. We nailed that one. Boom.
Those were both so seamless that I almost jumped in to provide commentary and then quickly realized that maybe
this is
I
a
should.
professional act.
I would, if you see me eating eggs, I would like
when you started
to
talking
them.
about coleslaw, I almost gave my opinion of coleslaw, which wouldn't have fit the bill.
Yeah, I'm sorry. They're
That's
a great
how good you
sponsor,
guys
though.
were.
WildConstructionMN.com, who's in Adinov. We know he's a big listener of the podcast.
It will be soon.
The Hoos.
That's how he's going to learn
loose.
English.
The Hoos is loose.
Spring break every day.
Yep.
For Hoos.
Bold predictions. King, why don't we start with you? Give us one of your bold predictions, and let's track where we're at just past the 3/4 mark. We're on the.
I have got so many problems here. I only did 5. I said the Wild are going to win the Central. That's not happening. I believe that's actually impossible at this stage, isn't it?
We could look at Money Puck. I do believe it is 0.
By the way, 23.9% chance
It's
of
up.
making the playoffs. Yeah. I've been digging into the.
It was 9.
It's going up, yeah.
It was 9.
It was as high as
3.9.
18 I saw recently, so that's
Yeah,
good.
yes, 23.9.
So you're saying there's a chance.
It was 9% before the weekend.
Yeah.
Then they add Hoosty.
Then they got the 2 points against Nashville, and it went to 12. And then I think it went to 17 after the Arizona game, and now 23.
23.9.
Yeah.
Kinger, I gotta ask you real quick. Sorry to jump in, but the pulling the goalie in overtime thing.
Great.
What'd you make of that?
Great. And also, no one in the world knows the rules.
I
of
had no
hockey.
idea.
No one.
I was
Like,
worried.
I
there was
didn't
a
know
Kyle
that you
Shanahan
were.
situation going on.
I didn't know you were putting that point up for grabs
Yes.
if you pull the goalie. So I've watched a lot of hocky. No
Where's
idea.
that hammer thing?
And it was so cool. Like
John Hines did one of these.
Drop the hammer.
He just said, "This is what we're doing."
what a great. That's a moment, right? If we can get to the chip in the chair in the playoffs
Yeah,
here,
that's
you're
the
gonna look
documentary.
back and be like,
That's the top of the
It's
the
crazy.
story arc of the
Yes.
documentary.
it's so good, and it's so like I don't know, ballsy, I guess we can say.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
So I
just
dropped
like,
the hammer.
I mean, it was awesome. Yeah, I love that.
The issue is
Now
going to be when they go
are you
on
gonna
to win
do it
the-
again?
When they go on to win the Stanley Cup, then your podcast ends, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So-
I think we would probably.
They
Because we just
can't
party.
rush this thing and win it now.
Yeah, we would be okay with that.
I think the organization there would
Do
be
you
a
have any
ring
How many
ceremony.
teams get to go out? How many guys get to go out on their terms?
That'd be amazing.
We get to
You
go
went
on
out
our
on
terms.
top. The podcast would literally go out on
Yeah,
top.
we would go out on our terms.
How cool would that be? They win, and there's never another one. It's just done. We don't do a recap. We don't talk
No,
about winning
it's over.
the Stanley
We're
Cup.
here till it's here.
Michael Jordan Utah game, not with the Wizards, doesn't come back. We're just out. We're on the cover of Sports
Yeah.
Illustrated, all white.
Hit the jumper, walk it off.
Boom, walk it off. Byron Russell, is that who was covering?
Oh
it?
yeah, he tried.
I'm just going to go through this because they're
Yeah.
so bad. Okay, so I said that there would be a Marcus Renaissance and a Marunaissance. Patty started really fast,
Yep.
but no, he's at 16 points, and I was saying he would get back to his 25-point level. So injury hurt him. Marcus, I thought, would get back up to 40. He's at 21. That's not really happening. Wild will have 4 80-point scorers. I would say if it wasn't for injuries, between Boldy, Zuki, Ek, and Kaprizov, they're flirting with it, but only Kaprizov was 74. Rossi Redemption with a very bold 30 points. That was kind of like, I don't know that was safe, but at least I got one. And then I still thought Kirill and Ek would get in a fight, and it's never, ever going to happen. I don't know why, but I do think I want to.
X punching back and face washing. He's
But
not
they're
just
never-
taking anymore. They're never going to fight.
Kirill's more likely to fight than Ek, I think. I think against like Winnipeg, if we were in a 7-game series, I think Kirill beats the crap out of someone.
Like end of a game.
Yeah, throwaway, and he'll win the fight. I can't even imagine a scenario where that guy, when he finally does, he wins. It's like
What
when
happens
Crosby
if that
falls.
happened and they give him like the 4-minute double minor for roughing? You know they do that.
Kinger would be losing it in the stands.
Yeah, like the Stars are like, no, I actually wanted a
He
fight.
dropped
Give me
his
a major.
glove.
That's a major.
Give me a major. I want an odd number on my penalties in minutes.
Hey, totally unrelated, but Karts, I wanted to hear your take on this. The guy that sits in the penalty box when it's like a too many men, or like so when like Zuki skates over there because he's sure as hell not playing shorthanded. That's like kind of baller, right? When you're like, are there levels of that? Like they wouldn't ask Crosby to go sit in the bench, but they can. I think it's almost like a backhanded compliment where it's
Yeah,
like,
it is.
well, we're not going to have
If you can
back
consistently be that guy, it's a good thing. But if you're like the token guy that does that, it's a bad thing.
Yeah, the coach scans the bench at Karts, you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like, at least
like
you
if you're
know
like
it's
the,
your
if you're
job.
like the fourth line, and they don't throw a lot of D in there, so
No.
it's if you're like the fourth line guy that doesn't kill,
Yeah, it's better when it's
that one stings. But if
get
you're
a
like a
cookie
top line
when-
guy,
when
which
like
makes
Zuki
sense.
does it. They send
Right.
Zuki a lot.
So there's a
Penalty
reason.
ends, and then he's on the ice.
And the other part is
would be told after you serve it, get your butt back to the bench.
The other
this
the other reason is there will be what half a dozen times a year where the timing will line up for a player to come out of the box and get a breakaway,
Yeah.
and not all of those are on bench minors that can be served. But if you can line that up, you want like Zuki being the guy that steps out of the box and gets a breakaway versus like me, you know.
Yeah.
So
How about Flower getting a penalty?
there's strategy to that.
That was a terrible call.
How?
That was not Jordan Binnington.
He was
butt
play-
ending a player.
Yeah, he's
he
playing
was
with
he was
himself.
in the crease,
playing-
and a guy skated through.
He was like doing his job.
It was terrible.
That was terrible.
That guy's a stud too. What he is so cool. The Flower.
He is cool.
Like it's just like he's such a good dude. Plays like a kid, but like the amount of trust. The feeling of trust I have with him as a goaltender, considering when he first came here, Carson, remember, he drove me crazy because he was like sliding out to the dots.
The
and
lady slipper?
I didn't know how to, the lady slipper. There's a throwback. That caught on.
we tried
but
hard.
We've tried some things on the pod in the past.
It's the Minnesota State Flower, the lady slipper.
Good to know.
But I've actually, I don't know that I've ever seen a lady slipper.
I don't know.
Like you can't buy them. We wanted lady slippers thrown on the ice. You can't. Where do you get them? You can't.
Yeah, that was not a.
You gotta change the State
that
Flower
wasn't
and have
good.
it be like.
But he's like like a big brother. Like right now, it's like Matt Dillon in The Outsiders. Like he's gonna like win. Like he's gonna in the Rumble. Like Fleury's gonna get his guy. Just a good feeling to have a vet and to stay, and not to go chase it and to kind of chase it here. I think he's just so cool. Such a good dude.
So the Wild have gotten great play from Kaprizov. They've gotten equally good play from Marc-Andre Fleury in terms of their position and what they need to do for the team. And Fleury's probably going to have to continue that. Or Gus. Like the thing is, Gus came in Colorado and was really good in that game too. But they're just going to need, if they're going to sustain this heater that they're on, they're going to need Fleury to continue to play the way that he has played. And go back to the Anaheim game. I think it was second period. I don't remember the player. I think it was Johnson maybe. But somebody has a breakaway. Like splits the D, gets the puck, little chip shot, and easily could have gone in. Like the type of play where you watch it and you're like, that goes in half the time, maybe more. And that changes the game. So it was a 1-0 game at that time for the Wild. Would have been 1-1. He makes the save. About 7 seconds later, Kaprizov scores on the back door. And it's like, boom, there it is. There's the illustration. That's what goaltending does. And if they can continue to get that from Fleury, watch out.
The save percentage as a team was at like 890 for the longest time. I know the league average is down, but 890 is not going to get you in the playoffs.
No, you need to be 910.
The last 4 or 5 games, they've been like 930 plus.
Yeah.
940-ish. So you don't maybe need that, but you got to be 915, 920 down the stretch if you're going to try and almost run the table, right? They only have 2 or 3 losses left
Yeah.
before they become like win out mode. So, yeah, goaltending's got to continue to step up.
All right, give us one of your bold predictions.
So I had Rossi 5 goals in the first 10 games, and he'll finish with 15 plus. He's already at 17, and I think he had 5 in his first 11. And if you remember, opening night, he had a goal waved off. I think Foligno was offside.
We'll give you that.
So that was kind of moose.
Yeah, you get 0.9 points for that.
Kaprizov and Boldy combined for 90 goals. I'm going to fall short. Seemed...
Well,
Defend yourself.
We'll
Defend
see.
yourself.
Kirill might have a couple hat tricks.
Why didn't it?
Kaprizov's going to hold up his end of the bargain. He's going to be at 45. I didn't get 45 from Boldy. I probably
You were thinking
30.
like 50 and 40.
I was. Injuries. Wild clinch a wild card spot and advance past the first round after beating Edmonton. Still
In
possible.
play.
God, you were so happy to come back and do this.
He's been begging me.
Well, I think we had a dinner
but he's been on the flight saying, I think I nailed
huh?
some of these bold ones.
We had dinner at Mancini's here. Fleury passes Patrick Wall on December 3rd versus Chicago. I was a month off on that. Brock Faber, top 5 in Calder voting. That's an absolute slam dunk. You should win the freaking award. Sorry,
You
Connor.
are
I don't think
doing
there's any
great,
chance-
by the way.
was
That's
the last
really
one?
good.
Faber, top 5 for Calder.
He's like 3, potentially 4 in play out of 5. I have 1 unless Kirill gets in a fight. I mean, I'm dead in the water. So you're way out front unless Karts has something to say about
They
it.
won't be playing Edmonton. I don't think that that's possible. But the wild card, that's half a point. All right, so I had one letter wrong when I wrote this. I forgot how to spell.
Okay, good. What is it?
Dean gets fined. I forgot I wanted to put an R instead
so
of an N.
that's a typo.
Dean got fired.
Okay, so that's what you were going to just say. Dean
That's
gets
what I was
fired.
gonna say.
That's a good thing in a wild podcast, just right out of the chute.
Yeah, preseason. Coach is getting canned.
So I thought we were gonna have a moment like Tortorella had with Philly the other day.
I'm not leaving the bench.
Where Dean was at one of those spots where it's like, hey, I've challenged the team, I've challenged this. The next thing I can do is, boom, like got their back. As
Go try to fight another coach or something.
just something.
Jim Playfair in Abbotsford years ago. Do you remember that one? It was all over TSN. He was taking sticks from the bench and launching them on the ice. And every time they'd clean them up, he'd throw a few more on. It was like...
That's Bobby Knight style.
Yeah.
So that didn't happen, but it was close. It was close. One letter off, like one letter.
Yeah, that's good.
This one is just this sunk. This never had a chance, but maybe if Marat continues. Wild finished the season with better than 50% in the faceoff circle.
They're
Where are
getting
we at
closer.
now?
They're getting closer.
They're like 48 now, Carts.
Yeah, but if Eck is out, but they need Eck and those guys. If they do, so it's in play.
Okay, you're in play.
It's in play, but it's going to be tough. Mason Shaw signs for league min and plays games. Nailed that one.
Yep.
And that was not bold, but bold.
It's only not.
That was like
it's
my
bold
favorite
because it
top
was-
5 for Calder. Like it had a really good chance of happening, but you were out there on a
You
limb.
can't control the rate at which
Rehab or
somebody
anything.
heals.
Yeah.
And if he could still play, and if he could,
No, it's that's good.
produce.
It's an accomplishment.
Put a check next to that one.
Kirill has 1.25 points per game. That's a 103-point pace. I don't know what he's on.
74 right now.
In 60 probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty close. We're at like
good one.
1.15 right now. Do the math on that. So that's close. 103-point pace on the season if he played 82.
See how many games he's played. He is at 60 games, 74 points. So, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it is. We'll see. It's in play. I've got a couple in play. This one, the Wild drop out of the top 10 in PIMS and majors.
Number one, right?
Reel's at 1.23.
1.23. So that's good.
They're number one in majors, aren't they? Number one.
Yeah, most fighting majors, yes. Nashville's second.
It looks like I wanted to try to change.
And they're fourth, I believe, in penalty minutes per game from
Yeah.
going into last night.
But since Hines, it's changed. The majors have been up. The minors have gone down.
Minors have gone down.
That's good.
The other one was Wild lead the NHL in shorthanded goals. So I must not like that one and went with the majors. And then the last one, this one stinks too. And this is our own fault. We were going to take over Let's Play Hockey, but we just haven't had our guy up there yet, or gal. But we need somebody to go up there, steal the show, and it has to be so good that the the programming says, Wild on 7th, we need you to continue to provide us.
So you're like the Kate Smith from the Flyers back in the day, like the same anthem singer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that's our rallying cry.
Yeah. Like it gets us going.
I like that. By the way, producer Matt Hussey looks like he'll hit 1. Rossi scores 20 goals. All right,
that's
really
the one that
all
gets
the
an
ones,
applause.
all the ones that were right there or already checked off, and
It's
we
good to know you're still
Yeah,
awake.
you had your guy. Way to go.
His other ones, not so much.
So we actually hustle. This is a good segue. Let's take another word from the sponsors. We need these guys. We appreciate these guys. Cub Foods, Aquarius Home Services. Thank you.
If you look real closely at PJ Flex headset, it's a Cub headset. They love sports. They sponsor Wild on 7th. They sponsor the Homer Hanky for the Twins. They're one of us. They're awesome. They're Cub. They sell alcohol at the grocery stores connected to the liquor stores, and they do delivery at Cub.com. So check out Cub, your neighborhood grocery store. Thank you for sponsoring Wild on 7th.
Get ready to transform your home's climate control effortlessly. This March, Aquarius Home Services is unveiling an irresistible offer / a whopping $2,000 off their cutting-edge ductless mini-split systems. Why settle for outdated HVAC setups when you can indulge in personalized comfort perfectly tailored to your living space? Say goodbye to the limitations of traditional systems and embrace hassle-free heating and cooling in every nook and cranny with Aquarius Home Services. Whether it's a vintage abode, a cozy cabin retreat, a recent expansion, or even that chilly garage space, their mini splits bring year-round comfort like no other. Aquarius believes in earning the right to be recommended. They're just a click away at AquariusHomeservices.com. Again, appreciate the sponsors. They keep the show alive. Joe, appreciate you coming on and joining us. You have a flight to get to. It's St. Louis and then en route to Southern California, a couple days at Pelican Hill. The podcast has a theory that the more vitamin D a team has at critical times of the year, the better they perform. The sun, we could call it the Sun Belt, the Sunshine States, have fared pretty well in late season hockey. Vegas, Tampa,
This is
Dallas,
a proven
Carolina.
Carter, take credit. Like you,
statistically,
this is your Newton's law.
yeah.
Carter's law. The sun.
And
So you're telling me to get some sun on Sunday?
well, the broadcast might improve, but we're more concerned with the guys that play on the ice and the fact that they're going to be logging some solid vitamin D soaking hours in Southern California. I love the timing of this trip. So it's St. Louis. They've been playing well. That's a team that they need to beat. Then they're going to fly right after, go to Pelican Hill, nice little resort.
So what is Pelican Hill? Because I don't know if people
It's
know
a hotel and resort in
Golf course, yeah, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, nice. So they can golf and stuff. They're going to be having some
yeah.
fun.
in like Newport area. Yeah, so it's like R&R.
It's classy though.
It's like recharge your battery. They could have come home after St. Louis and been home Sunday night, stayed here Monday, Tuesday, flown out the next day, whatever it is. But nope, we're going to go. And so it's a nice chance to just recharge the battery with what will be 13 games to go. Get together like a late season team bonding. I don't think that they necessarily need to bond. Maybe they need to get to know a couple of the new guys, but it's more just, hey, like enjoy yourselves, feel the warmth, have fun. Let's remember we're playing good hockey. I love the timing of it. What are your plans?
Drink. Sit outside.
Golf?
No, I don't golf.
They're nationally broadcast games, so we get the boot. The TV guys, the radio guys, they work harder than the TV guys. They do.
Well, I wouldn't say we work harder. We just have more games.
It's harder work.
Do you think Marat golfs barefoot?
I think we're going to find out.
He for sure does, right?
The one thing I want to know Monday at practice at Honda Center. So Sundays, you play the Blues Saturday. Sunday's the day off, the R&R, the whole 9 yards, the spa treatment. Monday's a practice day. I got to try and find out if he was the MVP of Sunday.
Yeah.
You know?
Advisor guy, maybe?
A new guy
might wear
being
a
like
visor.
America, like just wide-eyed, like this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Or if he just lays low because he doesn't know where to go, what to do.
No, I think he's face down brown.
Yeah, I think the fellas are going to take him around, and even if he doesn't golf, just be like, hey, ride the cart, hang out. Look how beautiful this is.
This is what we do.
America, baby.
And then he's in a sand trap Just chalk outline by the end of the day.
And hopefully Tuesday
Sunburn.
comes out and plays a great game.
Oh,
And he's not playing guilty.
Didn't you have a story about the OC?
All right, so this is very quick. When I was in Boise, Idaho in the ECHL, this is like circa 2007. And I was at a bar called Hannes, or as we knew it, Hump and Hannes. It was like the bar for the Idaho Steelheads, right? Like the management, ownership took care of us, whatever. I'm in there having a good time, and I'm walking. I don't know if I was leaving or just walking by. And it's a packed place, a live band. And somebody gave me like a shoulder to like arm to arm, like bump, right? Like one of those where you're like, you
like a
turn around,
shiver,
like,
a forearm
turn
shiver.
around like, really, dude? Like, so literally, as I'm going, he's coming, and boom, like pops me, like where I kind of spin back and I just like give him a look, like, really? And I just keep going, and I leave the bar, and sure as you know what, within like a minute, well, again, I knew ownership there and stuff. The bartender or the bouncer saw him and was like, "This dude's out of here." So he gets booted. Well, now he's hot and bothered that he got kicked out. So I'm on the street walking to my car, or to the parking lot or whatever, and homeboy starts following me, and I can tell he's following me. So I get to my car, and I'm with my now wife and one of our friends, also a female, and next thing I know, it's like 5 dudes literally around the vehicle being like, "What's up?" And I'm like, "Really? This is the time you guys pick?"
Did you say, "Hey, Bubba"?
So
Hold on, let me get out of my Toyota Camry.
So it was a Saturn.
Saturn.
And I hadn't gotten in. I don't even, honestly, to be honest, I don't think I was driving because we had free taxis there to go back to the apartments. It was a great setup. I think I might have just literally getting something from said vehicle because we're going to leave it overnight. Anyway, all I remember these guys doing is being like, "Orange County dog, Orange County dog." And I was like, where am I? First of all, is it Boise, Idaho? What is Orange County? And why are we going Orange County dog while there's like 4 or 5 dudes literally? And look, I'm 160 whatever pounds now. I was even smaller 15 years ago. All right. So I had no business, especially with 4 dudes. And I was like, literally like, which players do I know that might be out downtown that beat people up for a living that I could like quick speed dial? It all dissipated, thankfully. But
What year was this, you think?
like 06.
Those guys were trendsetters.
07.
So those guys could be out there. The Orange
be.
County Dogs.
Yeah.
Could be.
That is my anytime I hear Orange County now, almost 20 years later.
You don't think Choppers
I
or
literally
the
think
Real Housewives?
Orange County
You think-
dog outside my Saturn in a dirt parking lot in Boise where like these dudes wanted to jump me for literally no reason.
Did you have a rooftop carrier on the Saturday?
I did not.
Okay.
It was a good follow-up though. So that's all I got.
But they're
for you.
trendsetters. I thought it was Yellowstone because a lot of the California peoples had moved out to like Idaho, Wyoming, Montana. Those guys were trendsetters.
Yeah.
Orange County Dogs, man. What
Orange County dog.
I wonder what they're
Orange
up to
County
now.
dog. And I'm like, dude, what do you guys think you are? A gang? Uncle, you're in Boise.
All right, let's
That's the name of the
And I'm
episode.
by myself.
Orange County Dogs.
just do us a favor out there and make sure that the guys are in the sun.
This is my responsibility.
Yeah.
Like they need. We wouldn't mind if they're sunburnt and can barely put on their shoulder pads. Like they need to be out there.
Aloe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the one thing I have seen in these scenarios where guys get just
Fried.
Yes.
Yes.
And you can tell by practice on Monday who spent too much time in the sun.
Yeah. But we need like a Top Gun on the beach, sun setting, football game, something. Tarps
Sand
off.
volleyball.
Yeah, tarps off, sunburn. Just let's make it happen.
If you're the radio guy and you're at said resort and you're by the pool, do you go tarps off?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Even
think
if there
I
are
think you bring a football.
jacked hockey players.
I think you bring a football. Well, here's the thing, man. Fun is like
What, you think, a little
contagious.
hot route out there?
Like you want it. Like you just want to be a part of it. When you see it, you know it, and you want to be a part
should
of it.
bring those
if you're having a blast out there with your tarp
diving
off throwing a
sticks.
football,
The diving sticks.
Hey,
oh, like the neon one.
Husti, Husti, will you?
Lucy, will you throw these? I'm not going to look. I'm not going to look.
We could play Marco Polo with Rossi.
We could. Oh, you're a beauty, man. fun having you on again.
Thank you.
For
Let's put you guys on the spot for a final. You can't go through bold predictions without tagging with another bold prediction. So give us one for the final 14 games that we'll have to revisit if we get a chance to, because if they do make the playoffs and win the Stanley Cup, we won't be able to revisit these, if that makes sense.
Okay. So just in the essence of this whole 97 thing, the Wild finished with 97 points and clinch a playoff spot.
Oh.
Now they're
That's
not
about what it's
tracking
going
at
to
90.
take. That's what it's going to take.
Cutoff line's like 96.
yeah.
I think they're going to be more. I think they can
94?
get in with 94ish. I think some
they
of these
can
other
get in
teams,
with 94?
I do. I think the Kings, I think the
Vegas?
Golden Knights. I don't think they're going to get to that 96 range. So I think you can get in with less than 96, but in the spirit of Kirill Kaprizov and just how well he's playing, the Wild finished with 97 points, and they punched their ticket to the Stanley Cup playoffs.
That would be divine.
I don't want to make another prediction besides that. And I actually want to go to Moscow on the Hill on his birthday in between the end of the season and the start of the playoffs and count all the points up to 97. That is you can see things. You can see it. I like this. 97 points and in, chip in a chair. I endorse
So that's your unbold prediction?
I don't want to make.
board.
He's trying to italicize
I'm
the bold
manifesting.
print.
Yeah.
I don't think it's not about predictions for me. It's about manifesting. I'm using my prediction to manifest yours.
I like that.
Teamwork.
Makes the dream work.
And you?
I'm gonna go with from here on out the Wild are gonna get. Let's see, how could I do it? It'd be. I can't do the 97, but it's somewhere in the neighborhood of like 9. They're gonna get like 915 save percentage down the stretch. I think they're absolutely gonna need that, like 907.
Who plays more?
I think it's Fleury. I think the way Fleury's played he's earned that.
Yep.
Where it should be 2 games. Let's say he has a stinker, Gus for a game, but then you got to go back to Fleury. Like I think he's earned that, and I think the locker room responds to that. If you earn something, you get it. So I say between 907, let's do that, and 915 save percentage.
Well, those are the guys right now, right? Flower and Kirill. I mean, there's lots of guys doing good things, but as far as, like you said, the whole package, the role I'm supposed to play on the team, doing it on the ice, off the ice,
So
huge.
And just as we wrap, I'm going to go through Vegas's schedule, and we can go through the Kings too. The Wild have a very friendly schedule down the stretch. Vegas, on the other hand, does not. They just lost a game to Calgary last night, 4-1.
Good.
They've got new 4-game homestand. They've got a game in hand on the Wild with a 4-point lead. So they got a 5-point lead. New Jersey Devils, Tampa Bay, Seattle, Columbus. There's really no gimmies there. None of those are gimmies. And then they go on a road trip, St. Louis, Nashville, Winnipeg, Minnesota. That's the next.
Yikes.
Yeah, another tough one. Then you go into April. It's Vancouver, Arizona, Vancouver, Edmonton, Minnesota, Colorado. And then their final 2 are Chicago, Anaheim.
So they've got 3-week games basically out of 15.
And it's tough. And they have travel. They're going west. Now, the one thing that they will get eventually is Hurdle. He's not playing. That is one of their big deadline acquisitions, and he's been hurt. I don't know when he'll come back. Who knows if he'll help. Hannafin maybe gets acclimated, and they start to figure out their D pairs and play a little bit better. Who knows? But the schedule isn't easy for them at all. Now, the Wild, if we want to go through the Wild schedule, we can certainly do that. But they've got St. Louis, then the Ducks, LA, St. Louis, Sharks again, Vegas. So they do have Vegas twice and they have LA twice. And it might come down to those two. If they can sweep they'll have to probably sweep one of those 2 teams. That might be what it
if they can get 3 of those 4, they're in a great spot.
Yeah. And I suppose we could look at the Kings real quick, but tap dance for a second while I pull up the Kings schedule.
Joe, maybe for you, like, do we need secondary scoring? Are we like this whole kind of one-line team that's happening right now? And they've been spectacular. I know X banged up, but I mean, can that work?
I don't think
Special
so.
teams, because we're really not getting.
They need it. They need
Somebody
Hartman.
needs to
When
come
Eck comes
alive.
back, they need Hartman to stay somewhat warm temperature-ish. They need Boldy to continue to score. The power play, as you said, has got to contribute. The defensemen right now are scoring a ton of goals.
Yeah.
I know
Brodin's really offensive.
Bally threw it up the other night, like 18 goals for Minnesota. The last
since like January or something.
January 18th, they've got 18 goals from defensemen. That leads the league more than Colorado. So I think with 17. So they need that defensive scoring because you're right. If the third and fourth line are just kind of playing grinded out hockey, you need the D to chip in. So
you can look at that and say, with the way that the top line, anybody that's playing with Kirill, they're getting 1.25 points per game. Kirill is, right? So he's scoring no matter what. So they've got their goal, maybe 2, and on special games, 6, right? So they're getting plenty of scoring from that group. It's can they continue to get it from the D and from a second line, and can maybe the new guy spark something? That fourth line looks so good every time they're on the ice. They just don't finish.
Yeah, they can't score.
They don't finish.
It's a shame because you're right. They're in the offensive zone. They're doing all the right things.
Man.
They're not a liability.
They just don't finish. Then they get chances. And if they can find a way to start to finish, because the guys can't. Like Mason Shaw can score in the American League. Vinny Lettieri can scores in the American League. So I got LA's schedule. They just dropped one to St. Louis, but they've got Chicago, Dallas, then Chicago, Minnesota, both back-to-backs, Tampa Bay, Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, Winnipeg, Seattle, San Jose, Vancouver, Anaheim, Calgary, Anaheim, Minnesota, Chicago. So LA's is a little easier, but they've got a lot of back-to-backs and a lot of games left.
And they're playing Chicago at a time where the Blackhawks are actually playing decent hockey and scoring a lot of goals. That may not continue.
Yeah, and where a lot of those teams like Anaheim got worse.
Right. It's so much when you play a team. Tom Reed talks about that on the broadcast all the time. Like, when are you playing them? Is it a back-to-back? Do you have guys in and out? Have they just made a bunch of trades? Are they getting great goaltending at the time? Are guys dogging it? They've pushed it to next year and they're mailing it in. Like, it's always about not always, but a lot of times it's when you play that opponent.
One last little observation I want to point out, though, that has worked out in the Wild's favor is they have played so many backup goaltenders lately. What was it? Dostal against Anaheim. They played Vejmelka against Arizona.
Twice.
Yep. DeSmith against Vancouver. I think it was Nedeljkovic. Or they've played a lot. I could go back on their schedule, and it's been pretty amazing. Who did they? They didn't get Gorgiev, did they? Yeah, they did because the other guy was sick.
Is that just disrespect or luck of the draw?
That's to his point where it's when you're playing a team. When you play them matters.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think we had Edmonton's backup goaltender too. Seattle's backup goaltender. Yep. It was Decord. Vancouver's backup. I think we had Brossoit the last time we played Winnipeg. So it's been like, of the last 10 games, we've had 8 backups. Keep it going.
Take advantage, bro.
Keep it going. It's when you play. Hey, let's go hit that bird. We don't want to be late. We don't want to get caught in somebody's
Get that sun on you. Take care of the boys. Good luck with the diving.
It's all on me, Kinger. I got you.
We're here.
Till it's here.
Peace.